I always say my direction is behind the music, True Hollywood Story, James Lipton Show, like those types of things, if I could get that heavy fan base. So it always shocks me, and I understand money and the network are behind things, but when you're that up there, like Andy is, it almost seems like you'd want to take a little bit more like, let's create wonderful talk show moments, not gotcha moments. It's just
Want to listen to this Ivory Tower Boiler Room or True Crime and Academia episode ad free? Head on over to our Patreon where I'm giving you all 7 days of a free trial. So patreon.com/ Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And if you join the ITBR professor level, which you'll see gets you access to all of our rewatch podcast series like Queer as Folk and Smash, and all of our Teaches series, including when we rewatched Scream with you all, when we discussed The Exorcist. We're about to do a Britney Spears memoir episode. So, oh, and The Fall of the House of Usher is coming up. You also get access to both book clubs. And while you're at it, while you're joining our Patreon, where you're getting your 7 days for free, I would really love if you make sure you like and follow us on Apple or Spotify, and please leave a review. It really does help us in terms of advertisers and sponsors. Thank you all for listening to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room Network. And it is just wonderful to be part of this arts and culture organization and have you all out there reach out to me. So again, remember, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And we have a Facebook and we're on X as well. Enjoy this episode, everyone. Hi, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby. So when I'm not here in the Ivory Tower Boiler Room as the host and director of our arts and culture podcast, I am consulting because the Ivory Tower Boiler Room is not just a podcast, it's a small business. And I am officially an entrepreneur. So I've had many consulting clients, and I want to let you all know my services. So I've worked on college admission essay editing. I've worked on a graduate student's thesis. I'm currently helping advise a PhD student's dissertation. I'm working with a small business on revamping and rebranding their social media strategy and just working on new media ideas to expand their audience. So if any of that seems like a fit for you, reach out to me via email. It's ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com. I'm currently revamping our website, so soon I will have a consulting section on the website. So don't worry, I'll have a new ad to talk about the new exciting website updates, which will include testimonials. It'll include the different services, but for $30, you get a 1 hour private Zoom with me to talk through how I can help consult you, and then we'll figure it out from there. So, ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com, easiest way to reach me. Also, remember we have 2 book clubs meeting on November 19th. So, I'm hosting the Parachute Women Book Club. Parachute Women is about the women behind the Rolling Stones' success by Elizabeth Winder. And Mary is hosting the True Crime and Academia Book Club, which is all about haunted asylums, prisons, and sanatoriums inside abandoned institutions for the crazy, criminal, and quarantined. So to join the book clubs, head to our Patreon, patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and make sure you choose the specific book club you want to join. I'll see that you've joined, and then I'll make sure that I reach out to you so you get the Zoom link and you'll be there on November 19th. And I can let all of you know in December, our book club choice is Britney Spears' The Woman in Me. So spread the word, everyone. Okay. Also, you can join the ITBR professor level and get access to both book clubs and all of our ad-free videos and audio episodes. Okay, I think I've said everything I have to say. And now, here is our exciting episode. Before this episode officially begins, I want to let you all know this was such a rare moment in the Ivory Tower Boiler Room where we weren't officially recording, even though the record button was on. And I got into this over 30-minute conversation with Ronnie Jr. from Randomly Ronnie Jr. And I said, Ronnie, I need to release this to the public. So thank you, Ronnie, for agreeing to allow our hot takes on the Real Housewives franchise, our opinions about the Vanity Fair article. If you haven't seen Bethany Frankel, Ebony K. Williams, Leah McSweeney, Jill Zarin's mentioned, Brandy Glanville's mentioned, all were part of this Vanity Fair expose to discuss the toxicity in the Real Housewives universe and Andy Cohen's involvement. So I get his opinion on that. We talk about BravoCon, which just happened in Las Vegas. So if you are a Bravo or a Real Housewives addict, this is an episode for you. And if you're not, hopefully I convince you to start watching The Real Housewives. I convinced my parents to watch the new Real Housewives of New York season, so anything is possible. Okay, so when we jump into this episode, I've been talking with Ronnie for a little, so you're just going to hear us talk about his channel and him being on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. So you can find Randomly Ronnie Jr. on his YouTube channel. He has a Patreon, so you could just go to Randomly Ronnie Jr. on Patreon. And here is our conversation. And all of this was before we even discussed Queer as Folk. So you will see him soon on the Queer as Folk rewatch show. But for now, here's my epic Real Housewives episode with Randomly Ronnie Jr. Oh, and you have a YouTube channel. Okay.
YouTube channel, and then I've worked in radio since 2002, so very long time. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, well, I have to subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Oh, great. It's very much still in the pop culture like housewives space, but there's going to be a couple changes down the road, or additions, I should say.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because in this business, we got to do a trillion things.
Yeah, and I see. Okay, you were on Watch What Happens Live. Yeah.
Ironically, twice this summer.
Well, see, I kind of know the behind the scenes of how that happens.
Oh,
like, I think that people think they're asking random questions, but I know that they have to filter the questions you ask. Isn't that true?
Oh, like for instance, the Reba one was a question about The Voice, but it was really a question about Kelly Clarkson, because Kelly Clarkson, I didn't even realize. I mean, I remember, but I forgot, like, when I had to say it. Kelly Clarkson is the ex stepdaughter of Reba. They encourage you to do these questions that are, could be viral if the person says something wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they want salacious material.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fun. We watch the show, but I always say that I like Andy's after show a little bit better because there's a little more breathing room rather than like 90 questions in 40 seconds. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, well, this is my pet peeve with Andy, which is off the record, but is I feel like when he's on Sirius, he's a nuanced person, like he's an intellectual individual, but when he does this shtick on Watch What Happens Live, it makes him look like a crazed substance abuse user. But
no, that's actually very interesting. I've been up and down. Like when he first came on the scene, he was such a light just because of, he was open. It was a fun show. Then he got to a moment where he kind of, I never liked this, not to go off topic here. I never liked how he overly was dismissive, like, of, let's say, an Orange County housewife, this is her life. And he'd be very like, oh, well, we let people come and go. And he would say it so dismissively. And I'm like, meanwhile, you don't let Kathy Griffin on the network. You don't let another host on the network. Like, you make it.
Oh, he's never going to let Kathy Griffin on because she exposed
it seems
what
like
he asked.
Yeah, it seems like the only host he's ever let on the show, outside of somebody being like, up there, somebody like coming up, let's say, is like Danny Pellegrino is like the only person I've ever seen him really like, usher in. Usually it'll be like, Tom Brokaw will be there. That's from yesteryear. You know what I'm saying? Mark Consuelos, like people who already are established. He never really lets anybody who could be considered on the come up or could do what he could do. So that was always funny how dismissive yet how structured he was. But It's back and forth because sometimes you like him and sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Well, and I think, um, at the end of the day, he's trying to um be as messy as possible to cause drama and ratings. And that's why, like, I am going to talk about the Vanity Fair piece eventually on the podcast,
Yeah.
but I think we're going to see a lot of, like, you already saw Ebony um had a lot of, she was on my podcast, but
Oh,
Ebony
nice.
has already caused repercussions for Ramona. So when
Right.
people are like, what I don't like is when the Bravo, that's why I don't listen to so many Bravo podcasts, because
Yeah.
they're always speaking for the network and they're like, there was nothing to the Vanity Fair piece. And I'm like, that's actually not true.
Yeah.
And you're not even talking about Ebony's racists, like what
Right.
happened to her.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they see Bethenny, they keep trying to use Bethenny as a boogie person, and it's way beyond just Bethenny as an individual.
Yeah.
Um, but I think they're really scared that it's going to hurt their bread and butter. So I get it. I mean, basically, right, if you have Bravo guests on, that's why I never have current Bravo guests on,
Yeah.
because you have to work through PR and they have to monitor what
Mm.
questions you ask.
Yeah.
So like when I interviewed Ebony, she was no longer on. So
Hmm.
she opened up about her feelings with Luann, Ramona, like what actually happened behind the scenes when the cameras went down. But
Yeah.
like if I interview Lisa Barlow, who I love to interview, she
Yeah.
couldn't really give me the interview I would want.
Yeah.
It would be what gossip is happening on the show. And,
Yeah. Like a
you know,
fantastic interview, in my opinion, would be like a Anna from Miami.
mm,
Shoots straight from the hip, is
yeah.
probably down to come back if the contract was great, but she was always such a winner that like it would have to be a good contract. That's the problem. A lot of the cast members, and this is no knock. I mean, I've certainly had my ups and downs in careers. And when
Yeah.
you don't have a lot going on, you have to take on a contract and a situation that's
Oh,
less
yeah.
favorable. But like the Ebony, Anna, like there's a lot of women that are just like, I am not going to do all of the things. But it's a good show. I think this.
I am here with the co-owner of one of my favorite stores here in Port Jefferson Village, New York. It is called the Soapbox. So Janine said, Andrew, I have these 4 products you need to get your hands on. It's called 4 for Fall. So she's going to go over these 4 products. I know first you have a soap for me. What is the soap?
Do. I have the soap for you. It is called Apple Cider Shea Butter Soap. It's by a company called Greenwich Bay. And this is a great soap because you can use it for your hands or your body. And it has a delicious apple cider scent. And I think you're actually already familiar with it.
Yes, it is
Tried
in
it.
my shower. I still have it. It lasts a very long
Yeah,
time.
great lather.
The lather's wonderful. It's just so luxurious, and I love the scent into November.
Yes,
This
it
apple
carries.
cider just it evokes so many cozy feelings.
Oh,
After the soap, we have something that you can add on to
yes.
in the shower. So what is this?
This is a wonderful, wonderful exfoliating shower scrub. It is by a company called Primal Almonds, and it's a sugar whip shower scrub. And the scent is pumpkin spice. It's a moisturizing sugar scrub. So it's tiny little sugar granules. And it's something that you would use after you shower twice a week because you don't want to strip your skin of your natural oils and your moisture, but it's wonderful. It just really exfoliates all that dead skin and leaves your skin very smooth and soft from all the sugar.
So after I use the exfoliant, right now we need to moisturize. So
Yes,
I know you have a really nice fall body lotion for us.
absolutely. This is just such a delicious scent. This is one of my favorites for fall. The scent is Orchard Breeze, and it's by a company called Michelle Design Works. This is another product that you can use hand or body, hand and body. It's great. You can place it on your vanity, just a couple of pumps for your hands, or use it on your entire body. But it's shea butter based, so it's extremely moisturizing. It's just wonderful, and the scent is just lovely.
We need something more deep for our face. Everyone wants face masks, and I know that you absolutely love this company and this product.
This is one of my favorite masks by one of my favorite companies that we carry and we support. The company is called Farmhouse Fresh, and they're right out of Texas. The mask is called Splendid Dirt, and it's a nutrient-rich mud mask. It consists of pumpkin puree, and the benefits of this mask, it's a pore minimizer, a radiance booster, and a skin degunker. So it's an all-around great mask. If you really want a boost of radiance, it brightens your skin and it really cleanses your pores.
If they live on Long Island or near Long Island, what is your address for them to come into the store?
We're located at 18 Chandler Square in Port Jefferson, New York, right in the Village. And if you can't make it, you have to come in because we just have so much fun stuff in here, so many wonderful products. But if you can't make it in, please give us a call. We're more than happy to ship any of these wonderful products to you. Call us at 631-509-1424. You could always reach us on Instagram at The Soapbox NY, or you could always check us out on our website, Soapbox NY. And
yeah, there's so many ways to access your products.
Many ways to reach us.
And Janine is more than happy, and Mariana, the other co-owner,
my mom, actually.
Yes,
my mother.
Are so willing to take your orders
Yes.
via phone, via Instagram, and I can't wait for everyone else to enjoy these luxurious products. Imagine that you're riding the Turner Classic Movie Great Movie Ride in Hollywood Studios. It's in the 1990s. As you're journeying through the Great Movie Ride, you pass the Wizard of Oz, where all of a sudden you see the Wicked Witch of the West ascend into Munchkinland in a cloud of smoke and flames. Well, that's the memory I have with the Great Movie Ride in classic cinema when I was at Disney in the 1990s as a young boy. And ever since that, I was hooked on classic cinema. Well, my friend Christian Garcia, friend of the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, has a podcast that you all are going to love. It's called That Old Gay Classic Cinema, and he looks at queer themes in classic cinema, like Vertigo, The Wizard of Oz, Sleeping Beauty, Mary Poppins, 101 Dalmatians, Hello Dolly. The list can go on and on and on. So follow him on Instagram at That Old Gay Classic Cinema. You can listen to his podcast on Apple and Spotify. And he also is on the premiere episode of our Queer as Folk podcast, where I'm rewatching every episode of Queer as Folk from 2000. And the episodes come out bi-weekly. So make sure you listen to his episode with me. And he's launching a rewatch show of Smash, where they're putting on a Marilyn Monroe musical. So he's going to be joined by co-hosts, a lot who are in the Broadway and theater industry, and I'm going to be on his first episode. So without further ado, get listening to That Old Gay Classic Cinema. Enjoy. LGBT stories are universal, but each one speaks to the individual heart and soul of the writer telling it. Do you have a story to tell? Or have you been moved by an LGBT book, film, painting, television show, or other form of media? Then the Gay and Lesbian Review wants to hear from you. The GNLR believes in bringing awareness to queer art and artists through reviews, commentary, and thought pieces in which the author relates their personal lives to a particular piece of art, a novel, a movie. In addition to the print magazine, the GNLR also publishes articles on its blog. So you can see all of this on glreview.org. That's glreview.org. Remember, you get 50% off your subscription of the GL Review magazine when you use the promo code ITBR50. That's 50% off your print or digital subscription when you use promo code ITBR50. To learn more about submitting an article for the GNLR, visit their writer's guidelines. The link is located at the bottom of their homepage. And if you have any questions, email Stephen Hemrick. That's STEPHEN.HEMRICK@glreview.org. The GNLR and its readers can't wait to see what you have to say.
I forget, you're a doctor in what experience?
English.
Well, so anyways, I don't know the thought process behind. You would think if Andy is so structured and it shows such a win, he would take more freedoms to try things. He's doing the quick clickbait type stuff, which is so valuable and necessary but I don't know. I always say it like this: the stuff that I do, and if I ever have to compromise, which I very rarely do, which is why my channel sucks. But we almost have 1,000 pieces of content. But the point is, I always say my direction is behind the music, true Hollywood story, James Lipton show, like those types of things. If I could get that heavy fan base, so it always shocks me, and I understand money and the network are behind things, but when you're that up there, like Andy is, it almost seems like you'd want to take a little bit more like, let's create wonderful talk show moments, not gotcha moments. It's just that would be my only thing. Like, doesn't he want to do that?
Yeah. Well, I think that he has his hand in too many projects, in my opinion, and you can even tell he's disinterested
Mm,
when it comes to Watch What Happens Live. It's almost like an obligation, I
right.
feel, where, if he really just wants to be on Sirius
Mm,
or, have his own voice, maybe allowing someone else to take that spot, like someone who is up and coming or someone who's in the, even I think if they had rotating hosts of Watch What
mm,
Happens Live,
yeah.
like I would even love if the Housewives hosted Watch What Happens Live. Like I don't get why they've never had like Dorinda host Watch What Happens Live, or like,
Yeah.
those who actually have radio shows. Jeff Lewis could host Watch What Happens
Yeah.
Live. I think Andy Ronnie is extremely territorial and extremely um nervous to share the space.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm agreeing with exactly what you said. What did you just say? What you just said was he's got, oh, it almost feels like serious, and then love connection, and then aspirations with Anderson Cooper. Nothing is wrong with any of that, but you never, this probably would have been my only critique that I've ever had of him when I had that little critique, which was that it seemed like he was very, like I said, dismissive of like, oh, Alexis is no longer an OC, but like they come and go, like it is what it is. And it's like it is what it is to their careers, their lives, their livelihood, their embarrassment on TV. And him, meanwhile, he's making sure that no one even entertains the proximity of space. And that was the one moment. And I noticed it hasn't happened in a while. Um, but it happened when he was like starting to really be like not needing of the housewives as much. And then his celebrity guests were like real legit celebrity guests. And he'd be very like, I don't know. You could just read it. You're like, oh God, Alexia, she's so dumb. I mean, and she's not the smartest, but it's okay. you
Well, it's
know.
funny because housewives always get accused of social climbing, but I think Andy's the biggest
Oh
social
my
climber.
gosh. Oh my
Like his
gosh. Oh my
friendship with Sarah
gosh.
Jessica Parker or
Hmm.
Kelly Ripa
Oh, I
and
love Kelly Ripa, by the way. Kelly
yeah.
Ripa and Mark Consuelos. I'm
Oh,
ready
they're
for the
amazing.
three-way tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I would love if Kelly Ripa did more appearances. Not
Mhm.
appearances, but I also think the Real Housewives are so underused. And even though we're not officially recording, I might put this out as a special discussion about the Real Housewives if you're okay with it, Ronnie.
Oh, we'll have to take a look.
But
Maybe some little
I
edits and tweaks.
well, I think though what's fascinating is how um they're so underused. Like that they have so much entertainment value.
Mhm.
I'm always surprised Bravo never like pitches them for more appearances outside of meet and greets. Like I don't get why they're not doing more radio spots or like
Yeah.
Dorinda has a radio show, but like why isn't there collaborations between them? Or, why aren't they doing more like recaps of the episodes? Like that's what I liked about Two T's in a Pod, but I don't get like why they can't recap their own episode. Like, doesn't that
Mm.
actually add to the gossip?
Well, doesn't
You
Candy
know?
do it?
Yeah, she gets to do it, but it must be in her contract because they don't let Tamara or Heather do it. So maybe it's show specific. I don't
It's
know.
probably because some people, now here's on the flip side why you have to protect certain things, because a lot of people don't know how to act. You know what I mean? Like I look at someone like you have the broadcast integrity with what you're trying to do. You shifted away from like career to this space, and you have like an integrity behind that. A lot of maybe the housewives might miss the boat on that, and they'll want to do whatever it takes, and people get very desperate. So that might be it. Like Candy has been in this for so long, even if she was going to take down the ship, she would not do it in a way that made her look like a sloppy character on television or as a human being or in her business. Other people might do that, and I think that's where it gets a little fishy. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you about this, because have you read the Vanity Fair piece?
96% of it, and not because I gave
Okay.
up on it, but because I just ran out of time. Yeah.
But you saw that Brandy Glanville is also part of like being interviewed.
Yeah. Yes,
Because
I did. She's an
because
interesting.
I find her to be an interesting casualty of this, of being abandoned by Bravo. That's kind of what I'll say, is like Bravo abandoning their talent, like abandoning Bethenny, or even not seeing their value. I'll say it like that. But Bethenny, Eboni, which Eboni now has a TV judge show. She's fine.
Yeah,
Bethenny's fine.
with Byron
Yeah.
Allen. Yeah, so it's even credibility wise, like Byron Allen, like that is somebody you do want to work with. So kudos to her. But Ebony sourced that on her own. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like,
Well, she already
my
had her network too. Like, that's
sure
the thing.
my thoughts with her were like she did show up and she performed, and I thought she did great on that season. The season and the year that it was, coming off a worldwide pandemic with a difficult season. I'll just say it like this. Her tagline never was more authentic in the long run. That's number one. Number two, which housewife has not even got an opportunity during the run of show to have a reunion? So any way you break it down, like, because I know a lot of people aren't always on the Ebony, they don't see her vision, but like, I just can't I just can't be okay with the fact that she never got a reunion, a special, a 4 episode. I mean, they gave Jax a wedding special, no diss to Jax, but like, if shows are just giving out so much, like, she got no shot to like I mean, she was on Watch What Happens Live to promote her CBS reality show, and I like all those things, but yeah.
Yeah, and she got to promote Bet on Black, and
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, when I found out, not only so Ebony tried to pitch a Bravo series. I'm assuming it's centered around judges, which actually would be really cool TV.
Yeah.
Bethenny tried to pitch at Connecticut career women or entrepreneurial type show, and that didn't, like, they wanted it to just be in the same format. And
Yeah.
that's why I still think, I really think that Brandy, Jill Zarin, Bethenny, I think they're part of, they might do something, or Raquel. I
Mm-hmm.
think Ebony saying like Bethenny's not going to speak for her. I don't think there's really a relationship between them, but
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, and I'm so excited to shout out the Gay and Lesbian Review, who is helping to sponsor the ITBR podcast. For all of you out there, the Gay and Lesbian Review is a bi-monthly magazine where you can discover new things about gay and lesbian literature, history, and culture. And the GL Review publishes essays in a wide range of disciplines, as well as a slew of reviews of books, plays, and movies, and a number of special features, such as artist profiles and their popular art memo column. Each issue of the magazine brings you consistently intelligent, lively, thought-provoking articles focused on a unifying theme. For example, their September-October issue centers on the theme Cracking the Closet. So, starting in the 19th century, a number of artists and writers found ways to crack the closet by expressing their sexuality between the lines or in the interstices of their work. For example, Ignacio Darnad, who is a friend of the ITBR podcast, he's been on our show, writes all about illustrator J.C. Leyendecker, whose work for Ivory Soap and Arrow Collars gave him plenty of opportunities to draw pictures of well-dressed and at times scantily dressed American men. And you also can find an article by Vernon Rosario, who has been on the podcast, and he talks about the quest for sex in the Middle Ages. So, to subscribe, visit glreview.org. That's glreview.org. Click subscribe. So on their website, go all the way over to the right-hand side and you'll see the button subscribe. Click subscribe and enter the promo code ITBR50 because you're getting 50% off your subscription to the print or digital edition of the Gay and Lesbian Review magazine. I can't wait for you all to have your copy of the Gay and Lesbian Review magazine, and make sure that you take a picture when your magazine arrives or when you're reading it online and tag the GL Review on Instagram and ITBR, and we'll share it out in our stories. Enjoy your reading, everyone. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Andrew Rimby, and I am so excited to be talking about Broadview Press. You might be asking, what is Broadview Press, Andrew? Broadview is an independent academic publisher in the humanities that produces high-quality, pedagogically useful books for use in university and college classrooms. They publish in the humanities, mainly English studies, writing, philosophy, and history, just to name a few genres. And recently, I had on Dr. Jason Holt, who wrote all about the philosophy of sport. And what better summer episode than to talk about what happens when a philosopher dissects the beautiful aesthetics of sporting culture. In the spring, I had on doctors Kyle Stedman and Tanya Rodriguez to talk about what is sound writing, how to make audio projects in the college classroom, how to even have your students create podcasts. And then in the winter, I had on Dr. Jeffrey Weinstock. He talked about analyzing pop culture. Yes, I even sneak in some Real Housewives questions and how to teach composition and make it fun. He uses this whole metaphor about being a mad scientist in this Gothic lab. And in the fall, I had on Dr. Ann Stevens, and she talked about literary theory and criticism. And yes, the university season is upon us. So, what better way to talk about the college classroom than to actually understand what is literary theory? That's a wonderful episode for all of you out there who teach literary studies. I love Broadview Press. Make sure you use their exclusive code. It's Ivory Tower on broadviewpress.com. You get 20% off all Broadview Press publications. Okay, until the next Broadview Press interview. And now back to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Hi, everyone. Happy almost holiday season. Because the holidays are upon us, I'm sure so many of you out there are thinking, oh my, what am I going to get my friends, my family, my children, my romantic partner, my husband, my wife, any, significant person in your life? Look no further than my good friend Mandy Bengal, who makes handmade crocheted items. Her company is called Mandy Made It. You can follow her on Instagram at MANDEE Made It. And you will see all of these crocheted items that she's going to be able to customize for you, including special characters, sports team figures, even holiday items like a snowflake or a Christmas tree. So I have Mandy's keychains. I have the poison apple from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I have a rainbow flag that she made me. So Mandy is able to really customize an order just depending on what your hobbies and passions are. And what item you're really looking for. So because you're listening to me talk about Mandy, she said that anyone who goes to Mandy Made It on Instagram and orders from her, and they've heard the Ivory Tower Boiler Room ad, she will give you all a free Ivory Tower Boiler Room t-shirt with your order. So head right now to Mandy Made It. If you were really looking for that special gift, now you don't have to look any further because I have you covered with Mandy Made It. Okay, I hope you all enjoy your items from Mandy Made It. And please make sure that you take a photo of your crocheted items so that we can share it out on our social media. I know Mandy would love that, and I would love to see what you all are ordering from her. She even has an adorable pillow called Netflix and Chill, and she has these cute coasters that she crochets for your favorite coffee or tea mug. So enjoy all your Mandy Made It products. I also think what was good in Vanity Fair is every woman got heard and their story was told, even though they didn't agree with each other all the time, and that's important.
Yeah.
But Brandy, I think it's just, sad because she's always told to, like, she brings the messiness, but then when she brought this messiness with Caroline Manzo, they're like, oh, no, now you went against HR, and now they're not really protecting Brandy. And then she's kind of just been discarded. And then everyone's like, what's going to happen to this Ultimate Girls Trip? And I'm not sure. I mean, definitely it's going to come out. I mean, they're not going to waste the money to film.
I mean, they might though, right? I mean, well, Bravo's tricky. I knew Bravo was an interesting place when, okay, so I'll go back. Even in the not early, but like the earlier VH1 days, they had the tragedy that went on with one of the Rock of Love contestants, Megan. She had a dating show. So they experienced a tragedy and they scrapped the series. Also, one of the basketball wives was married for a brief moment to Chad Ochocinco, and there was an actual, and all these issues are serious. I'm not making them, they are very serious issues, but they scrapped Evelyn's entire series too. And I also thought that was like a really smart thing for the network. Sometimes money isn't always everything. I mean, I guess it is, but when Bravo ran, and I can't speak to this franchise because it's like one of my least favorites, so maybe I'm out of pocket on this one, but I would have thought there would have been some changes made to Taylor and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills situation. And the fact that it just ran like business as usual, I says, oh. So it's very tricky to be in an environment that just kind of lets everything fly, and then all of a sudden things don't fly, and then you're kind of like left out to dry.
Well,
yeah.
And the Real Housewives that get tossed aside are usually ones who
Oh, and I'm not equating. I'm not equating
No.
any of the things because I just like reheard that in my head. I'm like, I'm not equating anything. I'm just saying, it is what it is in that regard.
Yeah, but I would say that Brandy's situation is singular in my opinion because what I've seen with the housewives who are so open about their experience now, or even like friends of the show. I'm thinking of Dana Wilkie, who I've interviewed, who has her gossip show, Dishing Drama. Dana, like
I don't know if I'm like really loving her work just yet.
Well, I will say this, which is she was really pushed by producers to bring up Taylor's abuse, and she refused to show that to bring that up on camera, even though all the women knew about it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then Dana basically failed the assignment because she wouldn't air all of that drama out there. But it's not only drama, in my opinion. This is where I think I agree with Bethenny that this is an ethical HR issue, which is if you don't have protections, how can you toss aside your employee, Dana in this case, because she wouldn't bring up the domestic violence with Russell?
Yeah.
Which then put Taylor in a really precarious position with her daughter. So, I'm sure, I have a feeling Taylor would have found help, like with her friend group. And I'm just curious, like having that all on TV. I mean, Taylor says it was a healing journey, but also there's a man who committed suicide, and did that have to all play out on TV? I mean,
yeah, I had no idea that Dana was asked to do that. I had no idea that was part of it. I mean, the whole medium is so tricky. I remember doing a reality, like just a special situation or whatever on the TLC network, and I mean on a very lighter scale, I do think shows, and this is not speaking for any network or production, but like shows are always going to push for certain things. And where it gets tricky, like and again, very light in comparison to some of the stuff we're talking about, but I remember being like very boundary driven when I had recorded a certain little thing. And I do kind of say like, oh man, if I would have been more easy breezy, I probably would have got a second episode, because there was a lure for like a special or something like that, but I got one episode. And but I'm like, no, like there's certain things that I just don't get down with. So I can understand, like, the network doesn't have to bring you on at all. They don't have to continue with you unless it's in a contract. Um, but then when you have boundaries, you won't really get, I don't know, the shiny carrot goes away, so to speak. So,
Well, this is why
um,
they have producers who have storyboards and
mhm.
mapping out every narrative. And that's why
Yeah,
maybe and I think that's why they don't want cast members to do a lot of analyses in real time, because even with like Teddy not being currently a housewife, I feel like
mhm,
Teddy really shows the behind the scenes. And
mhm.
then the audience is like, wait, these women, when they're on full display and the camera's going, they're putting
Yeah,
um an extra emphasis and airing things that they would never talk about, but they know that they have to deliver drama, right? Like it's like when Teddy and Tamara say, um, or everyone says, "Oh, that was a great episode." Like they really brought the drama, and I mean they're
mhm,
acting. Like that is a thing. These housewives are acting. At
yeah,
the end of the day, they're in a soap opera. Like this is not. But that's what reality TV I think is. Like I'm watching House of Villains right now, and that's so scripted. But
yeah,
like that's scripted. Love is Blind has scripted moments. All reality TV has scripted moments. That's just
yeah.
part of the recipe. I just think um, if everyone sees them as characters, then they wouldn't care that Brandy Glanville is a hot mess. She's playing a character. But when they think that's actually who she is in everyday life,
Yeah.
and then the network doesn't protect her, now we're in a real dilemma.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like I've been watching old Real Housewives of Miami episodes, season 1 and season 2. I mean, season 2 was so wonderful. Season 1 was wonderful because Larsa was on it. I love Larsa. But the beat and the tone, and it's not just in reality or Bravo. Like it was a little lighter. Like they could have shady moments, but they didn't sort of push them off to social media. You know what I mean? Now it's like okay, here's a great example. I've had my likes and dislikes with her. She's not a bad person by any means, but still likes and dislikes with like a Candace. But Candace will win in this environment. I don't know that Candace would have won in the era of like early Real Housewives of Miami. And what I mean by that is that she can, whatever happens on that show, she can win an audience on her IG live, on social media. She could kind of tweak a situation in her favor. I think that's what made reality so special before, is that what went on the air is sort of what went on the air. I mean, there could be some issues with that too, but the reality is like it was less I don't know what the word would be, you know what I mean? But it was,
Produced.
yeah, yeah. That, and then like just the acknowledgement of social media. Like I wish I mean, it's just reality TV, so let's not get too excited, but I wish we lived in a space where like networks did their shows, and I mean this for scripted too. You do your show, and yeah, you offer the audience, what do you think? But I feel like shows just like really started catering to like what tweets well, what will go viral. It's like we're starting to sacrifice the integrity of all shows, scripted shows as well, game shows as well, reality shows
Well,
as well, talk shows
and do,
too.
and don't you think like even though people see Slade as a villain, or like um I don't know, some of the men just being so messy, which they are as well.
Mhm.
And this will be a transition into Queer as Folk, and I'll do my official introduction of you, but this is like a pre-show, Ronnie. Is they were being more authentic and they weren't putting up a facade. So like when I see a Dorit moment recently where she's like mocking Erica, I think we're all fawning over it, because that's the Dorit I remember when she first entered and said to Lisa Rinna, "I can smell your breath. You're standing too close to me." Like
Mm.
that was Dorit unfiltered. But then I feel in Beverly Hills, the facade just kept, the wall kept going up, and like it was hard to actually know who Dorit was. But like now she's probably being encouraged by producers to be more honest. And again, I think I don't think it's just social media. I think they're trying to be their character. And I see this a lot with someone I really enjoy in her podcast interviews, like when she's actually in an extended conversation, which is Lisa Barlow. I feel like Lisa Barlow is so enjoyable when she's not with the women, but when she's by herself and talking about who she is. But when she's with the women, I feel like she's trying to be Lisa Barlow. She's trying to like say her catchphrases and, you know, have her Slurpees and Diet Coke or Pepsi. But you know what I'm saying? Some of them play up the shtick.
I do, but I don't want to disagree with you. Just like so bluntly, I don't think Lisa Barlow is. I believe there are so many of them that do that. I watch a lot of Drag Race, and Drag Race at the beginning versus Drag Race now. It's like, oh my gosh, like, you know, you see the play so easily. It's like, it's just like, let's create a great show, create great moments, and from those moments, then we will have a viral or merch opportunities. But yeah, Housewives do it too. I honestly don't think Lisa does it. There is a tricky thing with the people that are so brand intensive in terms of their work, and like Lisa is, that they just do this with their eyes closed. Like Kenya Moore, you could never say Kenya Moore is fake. I mean, you could try. And yes, she did Kenya Moore hair care at Marlo's event, but some people just like got it, like in terms of how they've, you know, like for Kenya Moore, she's been in the business for a long time. She knows, well, while the camera's rolling, let's make something happen. I'm big. I've got big energy. Let's do something that creates a moment. Like some people just create moments, and some people are marketing gurus way before they ever join the TV show. I mean, I have been in radio since 2002. So whenever cameras are on me, I mean, I just so happen to be really good at it. You know what I mean? And so the one thing that people got to understand, I think, I don't know, I would never necessarily know what reality looks like now, but like I remember doing Fuse TV in 2005, and we had a couple reality TV portions, and some of the portions were I never really got affected in a bad way because I always showed up. I always gave so much material, so nothing never needed to be really created. The only thing that was really created was they had one of the cast members who ended up winning, but he was a friend of mine. He was replying to the haters online, and then they cut like a constructive criticism comments that we had all said that wasn't about him. Then they took his comment that wasn't about us, and then they took a shot where we were all walking, and like each person was alienated in terms of the filming process. But then they ran that B-roll shot of him being alienated, and I was like, well, that didn't really even happen. Or there was a time a guy really was pretty nasty to this one girl that we all liked. And so I'm replying to him like, oh, he don't stop talking, this, and this. But I'm replying off the basis of a thing. If you don't see that thing, you're like, dang, what a dick.
Yeah. Well, and the one where they really aired all of like placing segments in moments that didn't actually happen chronologically is Dance Moms. Like that really, like they would use sound bites for moments that totally wasn't in that context. Or even they had pickups. Like I keep hearing those who are in the show say they had to do a lot of pickups and record lines after the cameras went down, and just like record audio that then would be placed in segments. And I don't know. I will say, I think the Real Housewives confessionals are fed a lot. Like, I don't think they're actually saying those lines all the time. I think they're really getting direction. But I also think what we find entertaining is exactly what's produced. Like, find the music entertaining. Like, can you imagine when you're in the scene actually recording, how much of it is stale without the sounds? Like, you're just having a conversation.
Yes.
And they probably don't even know what's going to be picked up.
That's one of the things I feel like I spot real easily, and especially when you watch it on interview, you're like, Oh my gosh. They were favored in terms of, not favored like special treatment, but they were favored in terms of the way the edit, the way the instrumental like kicked out at the certain moment and then the scene hit right here. Like, because you could see when they're in a unedited space just how uncaptivating they are. You know what I mean? So it's a challenging thing. Reality TV just keeps moving. That's the problem. You know what I mean? I think it should be light and fun, and I think that New York, New Era has done it right.
Yes.
It didn't need to be. I mean, yes, was it as good as these wonderful Dorinda, Luann? You can't call me Luann. You got to call me the Countess. I don't know that we got there, but we got enough. And I don't think that what I always say on my show, compelling is compelling is compelling is compelling. Like, period, point blank. The stunt casting is not necessary. I mean this with like television, film, Broadway. Stunt casting will always be, but it's not necessary. Compelling is compelling is compelling is compelling. That is why Kenya Moore is a superstar. That is why Larsa Pippen's a superstar. That is why Giselle Bryant's a superstar. And this might be controversial, but I know the truth. Melissa Gorga is always a superstar. You just need to have interesting people. And when you don't, that's when maybe the shows go in a different direction. I mean, I don't know. What do I know,
No, I agree with you. I think that I would say I have certain feelings about Melissa Gorga. I mean, I like Melissa Gorga, but now I'm starting to kind of turn away from her just because
show's over.
I'm finding the performance a little. She's very into her image, and it is getting a little tiring. But
she's in like my top 5, like, for sure. Yeah. No,
I mean,
I
feel like
Melissa.
I feel like she doesn't go hardcore speaking up for herself that I would like. And I think she really was riding Margaret's coattails. And I hope that this new season she gets away from Margaret's direction. Which I think there could be a chance.
That's an interesting take. Yeah.
But again, I also wasn't a huge Teresa fan. I don't know. Jersey for me is its own. I like Teresa now more just because of her podcasts. Again, I think once you start to show more aspects of your psychology, it's just a more refreshing take. And it's kind of why, Melissa, I do like her podcast. And I like when she does interviews. I have to say, when she has her husband, when Joe's on all the time, I kind of tune out because it just seems very forced in the humor. But okay. So I think though with the Housewives, I will like one of my final points, which definitely I think is happening right now, and I agree with you. I think the format, they don't really know where to go necessarily, and that's okay. But I do love that some of the Housewives are ending up on The Traitors. I thought The Traitors was a great show.
Yeah.
I liked it way better than any current Housewives show.
What do you think of, just since we're talking about reality, what do you think of Kyle Cook?
Oh, he's in Summer House, right?
Yeah, I think he's instrumental in sort of yeah, Winter House too. I think he's sort of instrumental in creating Summer House, and he was on Traitors season 1.
Yeah. No.
I think Kyle is underrated AF.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like Bravo's sleeping on their male talent. Like, that's my opinion. I think they treat the women as the gossipers and like the starters of drama, where like the men are as much gossipers on Vanderpump Rules, like Jax. I think of Jax.
Oh, right. And Southern Charm, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I don't get why Bravo hasn't done a gay reality show. Like, why have they not done like the Bros? Like Bros, or like
there's probably a reason. Andy's never mentioned it. I feel like that question has had to come up. I mean, the contrast to that on Logo was the A-list, which actually the 2 New York seasons I thought was pretty good. I didn't have an issue with it. And I don't know, maybe they have to work it in where it's like one like house husband and other housewives, but and I also think here's what I think. If they ever did a show like that, the best bet is to do like something in the vein, like take it to New York City, make it like career. So it's like very much a queer and gay male show, and it could be open even further to that, but like don't make it on the basis of that. Make it on the basis of like, the inner workings of everyone's like aspirations, whether you're an investment banker, whether you're an art
Exactly.
collector, stuff like that. Yeah.
And I don't think they tried that Fire Island reality show, but it was all in the same house. Like, I really do think I agree with you. Like, I want a Queer as Folk type reality show. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know the men, like the male, what you said, aspirations,
Yeah.
their passions. And I think that Bravo is like they kind of were going in that direction, I thought, with I mean, Below Deck sometimes has
Mhm.
gay cast members. I'm kind of surprised they've never done like I'm surprised they never bring in like gay men into Vanderpump Rules. Like I think they're really missing out on a cast member there.
Jesse Montana was probably the only one ever to really get a little bit of shine. He joined, I believe, the season with like Faith, Lala, and James, I believe. And he's always still around, but like never his own thing. And there's always guys that are around Ariana or Lala, but like never in the focal, which is really kind of a bit disappointing, specifically the neighborhood itself.
Well, yeah, we're in West Hollywood there. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So that's our Real Housewives. We're going to go into Queer as Folk, but thank you for entertaining me, Ronnie, there. And if you're listening to this, I'm putting this out before Ronnie joins me with episode 8 of Queer as Folk. So, listen to that, but everyone can follow randomlyronniejr.com and your YouTube channel and your podcast, Randomly Ronnie Jr. Your branding's easy, Ronnie.